How dare you take up me and my disabled child's space. M heckles me, a 13-year-old, about sitting at a bus stop. Context: this is set in the UK, on a typical rainy day, and I'm 13 years old, and at the time of this encounter my leg was broken, and I had nearly healed, but I still needed to sit down. Cast: me, M, entitled mother. CK, calm kid. Kilometers, kind man. So, I was at the bus stop waiting for the bus that takes me to school, as it was raining. Since I saw that the bus was about 15 minutes away and my leg was still hurting, I sat down. Here comes M and CK, walking. CK looks at me, then sits down. His mother looks at me in disgust. Excuse me, could you please move from that seat? There were 2 long seats, but the other one was full. My child is squashed. No, he isn't. There was loads of space around him for about 3 people to sit. Listen to your elders. She was an elder. She looked around 50 to 60 years old. My son is disabled, and he needs space to lie down. What? I need to sit down. My leg is broken. And by the looks of your child, who is sitting just fine right now, he doesn't need a whole bench to himself. Listen up, you fucking entitled little brat. You're gonna give up that entire bench or I will drag your stupid ass off. That's enough, woman. Leave the poor kid alone. What are you gonna do to me, cunt? Call the police, since you're threatening a minor. By now, her bus came, and she huffed and walked off with her child. Walked. The kid looked at me and mouthed sorry. The entire time he sat there with his head down. Ep helped Tech beat up a classmate, got fined and arrested. I just saw this on the newsfeed. Yes, these idiots do exist. Ep is facing criminal charges after Metro police say she helped Ep beat up a classmate at a school bus stop. Ep, 30, was arrested after the 8:30 am Monday incident at Murfreesboro Pike and Burrwood Drive. According to an arrest affidavit, the victim was approached by Ep and Ek. Ep then ordered Ek to begin assaulting the victim because of a reported incident between the 2 juveniles on Friday, the affidavit stated. It was not immediately known what the incident entailed. Students on the bus filmed the assault, which police said showed Ep and Ek holding the victim on the ground while they both assault the victim. The affidavit goes on to say that the victim told officers that Ep kicked her in the face and struck her with her hands. Police said the video also shows Ep holding the victim down while Ek assaults the victim dozens of times. Ep was charged with assault and was released from the Metro jail on $7,500 bond. She's due in court next month for a hearing. Your t-shirt is scaring my son. I was taking a bus a little while ago, and I was wearing a Pennywise top from it. And all the way from across the bus I could feel this woman staring at me. I wondered what part of me she would have a problem with. I have piercings and bright hair, so I'm used to being stared at in a small town. Next thing I know, she stands up, leaving her son on the seat next to her, and storms over to me on the busy moving bus, fighting though people. I take my headphones out ahead of time because I knew something was coming. She looks me up and down and suddenly demands I "change my shirt or put a coat on or something." I just stare at her dumbfounded. Apparently my clown t-shirt was scaring her precious son. Yet when I look over, he is happily looking out the window without a care in the world. I explained to her that I can't just "change on a busy bus and I don't have anything to change into." She looks angrily at me and was about to say something else when the guy next to me backs me up, telling her to "go back to her seat and stop harassing the girl." I thought that was the end of it, but as we got to the station I heard her having a go at the driver about letting undesirable people on the bus and how I threatened her and her son. Luckily the driver didn't care or believe her, and there's CCTV anyway. I want to play a game. Forgive me lacking skill at storytelling. A few weeks ago I went to my FLGS friendly local game store. I'm just sitting in the corner painting my Blood Bowl team when suddenly they arrive. They walk into the shop, pull out one of the games that you can rent as long as you stay in the shop, and immediately start playing. I'm minding my own business, assuming when the owner comes up he'll collect the table and game hire charges he has printed everywhere. So when he comes out of the basement with the drinks he went to get to restock the fridge, he sees the mother and her son playing and sees a gap in the stacked shelves where the game was. £2 each for table and an additional £2 for the game you're borrowing, he says to them with some manners etc, which I don't recall as I was still just painting in the corner. What I do remember is hearing "Excuse me? You're charging us for sitting down and playing our game." He responds, "I know that's my game, it has my sticker on the inside of the box, pay up or stop playing immediately. This is a shop and our goods and services are for sale, not for taking," she responds. "But my son did really well in his test the other day and he deserves to be rewarded." He responds with, "Okay, that's great, can you pay for the services you wish to reward him with?" She immediately storms out with her son not putting the game away, fully outraged. I just sit in the corner and snort to myself. M yells at me because I tripped a bit on a tram. So my school just ended and I hop on a first tram. The tram was a bit crowded, but that didn't bother me at all. I stood next to typical Karen mum. She was talking to some other woman on a phone. So I stood next to her. Then tram slows really fast because some kids were crossing the street without seeing the tram. So everyone that was standing tripped a bit, including me. And then M says to me, "Can you watch out?" I looked at her and cringed a bit. Then she said, "Why are you smiling at me? Am I joke to you?" By now I was really getting embarrassed as all eyes were on me. Then I said, "Ma'am, didn't you see? We all tripped a bit, and that's normal." M: "Well, you should watch out anyway." People realized that this woman was just crazy, so they took eyes off me. When I had to leave, M stands up and says, "Can you move?" I was really angry now. As Em and her kid were leaving, they saw me leave the tram too. She gave me an angry look. I then took my bus home and nothing weird happened there. 7-year-old uninvited from sleepover by entitled parent and kid. Not my story, but someone I know. So my mum got a call from a friend last night saying, "Can 7-year-old daughter hang out with your kids tomorrow?" She said that her kid was going to a sleepover at some other girl's house but had been uninvited. Not surprising for a 7-year-old, but it's the next part that made me mad. Kid hosting the sleepover, he invites the kid, but her mother can't get in contact with the mother hosting. So for 2 weeks the kid is being told by her friend that she is attending, but friend's mother has completely ghosted her mother. Finally, on the afternoon of the sleepover, kid begs her mother to make one last attempt to call. The mother finally picks up her phone, only to say, "Oh sorry, my kid doesn't like your kid very much, so she won't be attending 3 hours before the sleepover." We are now having the poor girl over to cheer her up. I'm not blaming the girl that invited her. 7-year-olds be like that sometimes, but it was a really crappy thing to do on the mother's part.